Okay, we are live and good evening to all of you and welcome to another session. And this one is a part of the series called as Candid Conversations. And today's topic is on motherhood, a superwoman role. And today's guest is Shivani Kudwa. Shivani, thank you very much for joining in.
Hi,
And
good evening.
I must tell you that the background is looking absolutely nice. It's very colorful and bright and vibrant. So, friends, today's session is a very informal session, but it's going to be an informative session for sure. And to give you a background on who Shivani is, I've known Shivani for quite some time right now, and I have seen her evolve. I've seen her grow in her life. And quick background for all of you, she's got an engineering background in electronics and telecommunications. She's done her MBA in finance. And at this point of time in her life, she is a mother to two angels, as she calls, Naishita, who is 6 years old, and Rudransh, who's just 21 months. Shivani loves reading. She loves writing. And if I'm not wrong, Shivani, I think this is your first online interview.
It is, and I'm a little nervous, but it's okay.
That's perfectly fine. A little bit of nervousness is absolutely fine. And but I'm pretty sure the conversation that we would have here would bring about some amount of insights to our viewers and everybody who's joined in and who would be joining in. Absolute gratitude for being a part of this session. And I'm sure this particular short session will add some amount of value. So Shivani has started an Instagram handle and it is called Diapers to Wings. And the name itself is interesting, and I'm sure when we listen to that name, we probably get an idea of what this handle is all about. But still, Shivani, the first question for you, why the name Diapers to Wings, and what is this Insta handle all about?
First of all, good evening to everyone who's been watching me. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Harish, for giving me this platform. It's I owe you big gratitude for this. And I just want to tell you about my platform. I came from a very academic background. So when my daughter was just given in my arms, for that minute, she was the most precious thing to me on earth, and I had no inkling what to do about it, what to do with it, what to do about it, nothing. So I just felt that this is my pot and I need to shape it up. But for that, I needed information. So, and I just knew one thing, reading. That's what I had been doing all my life. So I just realized that I have to make this person one good human in the least. So when I started upbringing her, I thought there are so many things which I learned, which I read, which were like amazing, amazing tools in her upbringing, in her brain development. And I also realized that she's very small today, she's just 6, but my parenting journey keeps changing each day. The tools, the methods keep changing each day. So I felt right from the day I make my kids wear a diaper to the point they fly out of the parental nest, that is till they get wings to fly out. My parenting journey is always on. Even today I need my mother. I'm 35, I still need my mother. And I very firmly believe it is easy to bring up happy children than repair broken adults. So I was very strong about this, that I need to make happy and good humans. So I started this platform to share all the knowledge which I have used in this journey, which might be useful to other mothers and might empower them too.
Beautiful. I think the key word that you mentioned over here is empowerment. And I think everyone should feel empowered in probably all the roles that one is into or experiencing. Yes, one thing is true, and this is an information for all of you. Shivani loves, as I said, reading, writing, and doing a lot of research. And she's been a topper during her college days. And she is passionate when it comes to reading and writing. So what is good thing about this entire handle is the amount of research that she would do and she would experiment. The best of it is something that you will find on her handle. And I'm sure a lot of them who does not like to read a lot or do a lot of research, you will definitely get a lot of valuable information, which is not only just research, but also tested. So I think, Shivani, that's a great initiative. And I'm sure through the handle, it's just the beginning. And I think the intention is beautiful. The purpose is extremely powerful. And with that, I'm sure a lot of mothers will definitely get a lot of value. And by the way, friends, when we talk about motherhood as a superwoman role, we are not removing any importance from fatherhood, because from a holistic perspective, we are talking about parenting. But of course, we know that mothers have a very different role to play. And a lot of times, that role of being a mother, that role of being a homemaker is kind of undervalued. In my opinion, it's a role which is probably even more superior to a role of being a CEO of a large organization, because it requires a lot of skills, a lot of characteristics. So, one thing, yes, Shivani's handle is a well researched handle, so the information that you will get there will be absolutely valuable. So, Shivani, next question for you. Since you're saying that this is more a result of a lot of research done, so was it more of just a desire or a passion to get into the entire learning bit, especially when we talk about the parenting aspect, or was there any event which was a trigger point which got you into the entire research work?
So what happened was, when I look back and I think what triggered me. So there are few incidents which vividly come to my mind. Okay, so the first one was when I was expecting Nashita, and I had borderline gestational diabetes.
Hmm.
So I also digested that fact because my mother has a maternal diabetic history, and my husband has a diabetic history on the whole from the maternal and the paternal side. So
So you
when the
got it from both
sonography
sides, yeah?
from both the sides, yes, totally.
Okay.
And when the sonographic charts came in, Nashita's abdomen was slightly bigger than a normal average baby, and I was told that this is because of the gestational diabetes. So it shook me up totally. That something which I have been so careful of, healthy diet, healthy exercise, what not, but still my unborn child has had to bear the effect of a family tree, so-called genetic problem. So I delved and I read that what could be the cause which I can cut, because I cannot do this. And I was also told by my diabetologist that there are 60% chances that if I have a second baby, I will end up with diabetes, which was a shocker for me. So I just read and I found that food is one factor which majorly cuts genetic factors. See, I cannot totally uh, eliminate the factors. We are born with those genes. I cannot cut them, but I could somehow prevent them, prolong them, delay them. So food was one aspect which I found does it majorly. Food and thought, the power of the brain. There were two things which really worked for me, which made my basis. We are what we eat. We are what we think. So I studied foods which cut these factors. I feed my babies those foods. I feed my husband those foods so that we prolong our own factors. And I firmly found that the power of manifestation and affirmations was working crazily well for us. It was new for me. But I and my husband were shaken up, and we truly just chose to believe that everything will be fine. We did affirmations, I did my chanting, and I worked on the food part, and bingo, Nashita was perfectly fine. And my second baby was also 3.7 kgs, and there was no borderline gestational diabetes. It was my good food, which was the good weight of the baby.
And I'm assuming you are not a diabetic right now.
I'm not, absolutely not.
Good. Interesting, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And what is interesting from what Shivani shared over here is we all have trigger moments in our life. Like for her, what she got in the form of a report was something which shook her up, and that's the word that she really used. And we all experience such moments in our life which kind of shakes us up completely, because if you carefully heard what she said, she digested a little bit, but then when it said that it probably come down to her child also, she said this is something that I need to work on, and it definitely shook her at that point of time. So the point is, whenever we experience such moments in life, we always have two options. One, feel absolutely depressed, worried, get into a fearful state, or the second, do whatever you can, at least attempt, so that you can turn around the entire things. And that's exactly what Shivani did. And I think, Shivani, that's a great example, because I'm sure there would be mothers who would be experiencing things like these, or probably in different forms. So thank you for sharing that.
I would just like to add in a point. When I saw the reports, even I was crying, even I was depressed, and even I didn't know for 4, 5, 8, 10 days what to do. But then when I looked back, I knew that if I cry now, my child will suffer for life. That's what made me feel then, and I was responsible for this human inside me. So that's why I thought this something needs to be done. Something, I didn't know what, but something had to be done for this.
Interesting, interesting. Wonderful. So I think it's important that we focus on what is possible rather than just accepting a problem and just leaving it there. Acceptance is important at various levels, but one should not stop trying, and that's exactly what Shivani demonstrated. And she is reaping the fruits of those efforts, and that is something that we all should grasp in. Now, Shivani, I'm completely in alignment with all those words that you use because these are things which I've been teaching people for the last more than 12 to 15 years, whether it's about the mind, whether it's about affirmations, and undoubtedly about food, because I'm a strong believer that what we eat becomes a part of our life, it
Yes.
becomes a part of our body. But I also understand that when we talk about food and when we talk about the role of a mother, feeding children, especially the little
Can I just
ones.
add in a point?
Sure, sure.
I'm just sorry to interrupt in between. I had to share one more trigger point if I can.
Hmm.
So food is one point which made me think about when the sonographic charts came in. This is a very personal thing. When I was in school, I used to stutter. And all my MBA friends know I could not for my life stand on stage and talk. I could not. And I used to feel I have a stutter problem. So I somehow got over it. Somehow I don't know, when I became a mother, the stutter went away. I don't know how and why and when. I don't know. It just went away. But when my daughter was 2.5, I felt she has a stutter problem. That's what I felt. Maybe she didn't have it. And it shook me to the core that it is coming down again, the big genetic problem. I can't tell you, this was a worse factor than the one which had happened earlier. And I was shaken up, I was depressed, I didn't know. That's when I did manifestations, Harish. The only thing I did then was manifestations and affirmations, because Nashita was too young to be treated. And actually it was not a stutter problem. I don't know what it was, it just vanished with my affirmations. Day and night I did affirmations for her speech, and today she's a good speaker. She's a very good speaker.
Beautiful. In my opinion, Shivani, what you did is you just healed yourself. Because a
Maybe.
lot of times, I think when mothers are in a proper state, the healing for child naturally happens. And of course, a lot of times, uh, the child does not require healing. The parents require healing, I guess,
They
because
do, they do.
if the parents are healed, the children anyways, I think children anyways are manifestation of parents' emotional state and mental states, and that automatically takes.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I completely resonate with what you're saying because I still remember out of so many therapies that I've done where parents talk about their child, we eventually land up doing therapies for the parents and not for the child because lafda udhar hai. Lafda is ideally not here. But yes, I think your affirmations, you working with your own thoughts, with your own mind, is something that definitely will bring about a huge amount of shift in the life of the child itself.
Adding
Wonderful.
to this point, as much as we don't want to believe, I think subconsciously we become images of what our parents are, whether we want to or we don't want to.
Yeah, we do. Yes.
Subconsciously, because we have grown up seeing that set of parents behave or react those type of impulses. Even if we don't want to, we end up becoming like them.
We model
So
them in one way or the other.
yes, so I strongly felt I have become an image of my parents. I totally worship them, I look up to them, because they have been like just amazing people to me. So I thought I want to give that background to my child, and we as a couple should set that goal that our child will become what a good human should be like. We make sure that we behave what they want them to be, so we have to be what we want them to be. We cannot tell them you should behave in a way if we don't behave in that way. So if we have to be the example that we want them to be.
Absolutely. Or at least I usually tell people, at least you should be walking the path. You may not
Yes,
be perfect.
yes,
And if you're
yes,
expecting your kid to be excelling and you're not excelling, but at least you're walking on the path of becoming
yes, we
excellent.
might get somewhere.
Absolutely. That's important because tomorrow I might just tell my kid, beta, first time, my kid might just look at me and saying that, are you coming first in your office? You know, that could be a very big question. Are you getting
Yes,
promoted every year? That could be an interesting question,
yes,
right?
yes.
Wonderful. And an important question which I left halfway where we started speaking about this, and I think that Shivani would be a very crucial question, especially जब हम food की बात करते हैं, we all understand the value of food, Uh, but it's also undoubtedly one of the biggest challenges for parents, and especially mothers. I wouldn't say fathers don't feed, fathers also do that, but feeding especially the little one is usually a very big challenge for people. So, and while we understand the importance of food, anything that you would like to throw light on in this particular area? Because you did mention that, uh, can I say you did mention that food is not only a necessity for the human body, for the human life, but it can also be looked at as an organic medicine. If food given in the right way can really heal a person. So, can you throw some
Absolutely,
light
absolutely.
for the mothers when it comes to feeding and little ones?
So see, as I told you, we are what we eat firmly. So when I brought up my first one, I was not experimental, of course, because I was a first time mother. I was more scared. I was more focused on she has to eat one bowl, she has to eat one roti. So I was feeding her khichdi till she was 16 months, nothing else but khichdi. And what she was doing was spitting all day.
She
She
was
was
spitting.
spitting,
Okay.
spitting, puking, throwing. It wasn't going down. Anything else was happening. It wasn't going down. And I was forced to think that my baby is a fussy eater, picky eater, and I couldn't do anything. If someone feeds me khichdi for 1.5 years, I will also do that. I didn't realize that. And I thought she's a picky eater. It shifted when my other one came in, my younger one came in. For one, he was exposed to a lot of foods very early because he has an elder sibling. And while I delved and I read, I came to know there's something called as experimental food. So I let my younger one, the younger one now,
Mhm.
I I let him mash food, crush food, throw food, try self-feeding, which again goes into a different concept. There's a difference between choking and gagging. A young mother is always scared that her child will get choked. There's a difference between choking and gagging. Gagging is a natural reflex where the child is throwing up the food because it is too big. He's just throwing it out. But we call it choking, and we don't give them pieces of food. We just feed them mashed food, which I realized later that my child is gagging. He's not choking. So my younger one, Rudransh, was eating roti, rice, dosa, everything when he started from 6 months. And Touchwood, I'm surprised he's a better eater than Nashita because I let him experiment, throw, mash, whatever he wanted to do with food, he could do. I try involving them in the cooking process. They're allowed to throw cabbage, they are allowed to pick cauliflowers, they're allowed to mash peas. But I observe as toddlers, they're curious. If I let him mash, he tends to put it in his mouth. But if I force feed it down his mouth, he will close his mouth. So, what do I want to raise? A better eater. Maybe he's not a better eater today, but it sets the foundation to try and eat with your own hands. He knows how to satisfy his appetite. There's something called satiety. I needed that factor to come in. What is satiety? So for that factor, right from the beginning, he needs to know that this food can be mashed or eaten or swallowed or gulped. But for that, he needs to touch the food. And for that, he might reject 3, 4 meals. And I'm not the only mother whose child has puked on, peed on, pooped on. It happens with everybody.
True.
But I think it's a growing process. The end result is far more important than what is happening today.
Interesting, interesting. And I'm sure this is a valuable information, especially the difference between the two words. Even if we don't remember the words, I think the message is very, very clear. Also, I think what you've mentioned is very interesting, but a lot of times, I think the traditional beliefs might look at that as an insult to food. I don't resonate with that because I completely understand what you're saying. You're talking about experiencing food with all your senses, experiencing food and connecting with food at a very deeper level, at a very different level. But at the same time, when you say mash the food, throw the food, feel it all over, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of times we might get advices from people that this is disrespect to food in one way or the other. And there are people who might resonate with that even now, saying that yes, throwing food is a disrespect. So, what are your thoughts on that?
See, I come from a joint family setup, and there are questions bound to come that this is not okay, that is not okay, which is acceptable because this was not happening way then. We come down from a fixed school of thought, particularly for parenting. So, which I firmly believe it needs to evolve and change with time because generations have changed, ideologies and thoughts have changed. Generations are evolving, we are not the same. So, when I see my child mashing food. If you talk of disrespect to food, the the infants or the toddlers frontal cortex of the brain is not developed to process what is an ideology, what is disrespect. He doesn't know. He has only two weapons, this, and that is the only thing which gives him an experience, a sensory play, which gives him the feel. When he wants to throw something, he will throw it. He is only doing an action reaction thing. A toddler only knows two things, action reaction and sensory. If I don't let him experiment with those things, I cannot bring in disrespect. He doesn't know what is disrespect. He has just about learned to identify and recognize his mother. That's what the child knows. The child doesn't know anything else. So ideologies, I think, come in way later when the child has evolved, grown, or is a little mature, if we can call it, to understand what are principles and ideologies. That's why I think it's not important to focus on those at this point.
True. Interesting way of looking at it. And I'm sure we're getting some information over here. I'm not saying you have to blindly accept it. I'm not saying you should reject it. And I'm sure what Shivani is also saying is experiment with what she's suggesting, because she's done it and she is seeing results. So there is no harm in experimenting with something which is unharmful. In short, it can probably give only positive side to the entire stuff. And of course, how to influence other people who have traditional beliefs, maybe we'll do some other session later, or you can always connect with Shivani.
That is a whole session.
That'll be a different session, I guess. And you can connect with her on her Insta handle and ask her questions. So important, since we are on the topic of food, I still feel a lot of times the traditional belief also talks about quantity of food rather than experiencing food in a very different way. Because I still feel a lot of people express their love by feeding, and not just feeding, but feeding a lot. And there is nothing wrong with that, because it's usually a reflection of love and care. Like, uh, I a lot of times eat, for example, if I'm having my dinner or lunch, there are times when I would just eat one roti, and my mom will keep negotiating with me that beta ek aur to le lo, aadha le lo, and I'm like, no, that's enough. That's what I want to eat right now. And in about 5 minutes, she'll come and say, thoda dahi chahiye, because in her mind, the quantity is not enough. And I think that it probably starts when the kid is little, and a lot of parents focus on quantity of food. And one thing that when I talk about parenting, and when I coach parents, I also tell them that a lot of times we tend to distract children to ensure that the quantity of food goes inside the stomach. It could be like watching something on their mobile or watching something on television, ताकि बच्चा जब वहां पे distracted हो, फटाफट चार रोटी खिला दिया. And probably there is a false pride also saying that आज मैंने चार खिला दिया उसको. So, and um, I feel that's quite funny, because the experience is more important. But at the same time, there is a very strong, let's call it as a old belief, or a traditional belief, or a genetic belief, which says पेट भर के खिलाना चाहिए बच्चे को. So since you've been doing a lot of research and you've been experimenting also, as you said, what's your take on this?
I'll just start from the last point. पेट भर के खिलाना चाहिए, but वो बच्चे का पेट है. He knows when it is getting full. We as parents, because we are parents and we want to nurture them and we want to keep them so cuddled, we don't realize the child has his own brain to think. I have also been doing that all the while. इतना तो खाना चाहिए, इतना तो खाना चाहिए. How will the child knows how much to eat? Food is a natural instinct. We cannot bring it out in the child. Food and hunger is a natural instinct. It's an animal instinct. It comes naturally to us. So even if I don't feed food to the child will cry and ask for food. I realized this much later on, that if I'm not feeding my child and he's hungry, he's asking for food. That's when he needs food. And when my child is eating and like with full concentration, and if he starts looking away, that means he's full. So there is something called distraction feeding, which it is a term, distraction feeding, which we think is
Popularly practiced, I would say.
very popularly practiced. And I will not lie by saying I have never done it. I have done it many times, because there have been times when Ashita has skipped 4-5 meals in a row. And as a mother, I want her to eat. So I have shown her the mobile and I have made her eat. But the khichdi that she was spitting on 5 minutes back was all down her stomach after the screen time, which made me think that did she really want to eat the khichdi? No, she didn't. Also, if I can just mention one incident, when I was young, I was about 15, and I was watching TV once, and my mother was serving me. I ended up eating 8 rotis. I'm not exaggerating. I ate 8 rotis, and my mother told me, "Ab tu ut ja, tera pet bhar gaya." So when I look back today, I feel, what was I doing? That was distraction feeding myself.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
eating 8 rotis. So today, when I look back, I feel that is absolutely distraction feeding, because my brain didn't give me an instruction that my tummy is full. And so I believe in today, if we apply it to our children, my children, for instance, today I will make them eat that full bowl. Today they will not know, their stomach will, or their brain is not getting inclined to give them that instruction that the stomach is full, which later on could lead to food issues, and much later on to obesity. Obesity will not come in if we know what to eat, how much to eat, and when to eat.
True.
So these are lifestyle issues which need to be worked on now. The first 1,000 days of a child's life are the foundation days for the brain, for the stomach, for everything. I'm trying to focus on those 1,000 days of my children to make them better humans, healthy humans.
Wonderful. And I think, and all of you who have children in within that 1,000 days, definitely work on this, focus on this. And beyond that, also, I'm sure whatever we are discussing here, whatever Shivani is sharing, you can still imbibe it and it really works. And that's probably the only reason why, since thousands of years, people have always advised to focus on food and food only when you're having food, because distractions in one way or the other compromises the quality of digestion, not just for the kid, but even for an adult. But yes, for an adult, the conscious awareness that focusing on food is important can take care of it to an extent. But for children, I think, as Shivani suggested, you will have to make it interesting. You will have to allow your kids to experiment with the entire food, and probably their interest naturally would get developed. I also feel, Shivani, the way adults talk about food also has an impact on how children perceive food in one way or the other, because
Absolutely.
uh,
Yes.
how we talk about food is important, and not just food. I think it's about every aspect of life. So today, if I have a little one at home and I'm a working professional, once I come back home, how I respond or how I talk about my work is all creating beliefs in the mind of the kid. If I come back absolutely
Absolutely.
tired, saying that I was full day at work and hence I'm tired, the child picks up a belief that पूरा दिन काम करना मतलब brained out होता ही है. So I think, as you rightly mentioned, we will have to demonstrate those qualities, and that is absolutely important, I guess.
Yes.
Beautiful. So another important question, Shivani. We are in 2021 right now, and the challenge that we all experienced in 2020 is still sustaining to an extent. I'm sure things have changed. People are getting a little used to it. Some people are getting a little relaxed with it, but there is a very thin line between getting relaxed and getting careless. So, because we still know the pandemic is out there, and the pandemic has undoubtedly created disruptions in every area of life. The way people deal with their relationships, the way people have been working, different options, different possibilities, different breakdowns have happened in people's life. I still remember in 2020 during the pandemic phases, I've done so many counseling sessions and coaching sessions because a lot of relationship breakdowns have happened. And especially when we talk about the role of a parent, or when we talk about parenting, or the role of a mother or a father, I'm sure a lot of things have changed in that area. And there would be challenges, there would have been beautiful learnings that would have emerged from the entire pandemic. So I wanted to understand, during the entire pandemic, how has the role of a parent, how has the role of a mother really changed? And are there some crucial points that one needs to keep in mind, especially because we are still in that phase and a lot of things have already changed?
So when the pandemic happened, it was a total lockdown, as we all know, and we were like totally stuck, no help, nothing. One fine day, there was truckloads of work on my head, and I didn't know what to do, where to go, because my younger one was just 12 months. He had just completed, he was about to complete a year, so he was falling, he was crawling, he was all over the place. I had no help, and I didn't know what to do. And on the other hand, my husband was at home. He was also worried because work was shut down. So we had a lot of issues to handle together. So at that point, I was trying my best to juggle parenting and motherhood while managing other work, which of course all people were trying. So what happened was, since I have both the genders, I was really wanting to do gender neutral parenting, idealistic.
Hmm.
So which wasn't honestly happening because we come from a very patriarchal family setup. Our our Indian setup is a very patriarchal family setup, and I couldn't bring about those things which I really badly wanted to. So what happened was, when my husband was in and everything was closed down, uh, we had no option but to share the work. So what worked to our benefit was that what both the kids saw was that their daddy is mopping the floor, and their daddy is uh, washing the dishes, and mama is washing the bathrooms, mama is drying the clothes, and then daddy is changing nappies, and then mama is cooking food. So there was no line, there was no dividing line between what mommy and daddy can do. And now the pandemic is still on, and they still think that daddy can still mop the floor because they don't find anything wrong with it. And I was very happy with this setup, which just fell upon us, because otherwise my husband is always out for work, he's traveling. Had it been a normal regular setup, the kids are with me for 18 hours a day, and they just sleep next to the daddy, they had no time with the daddy. So what we both parents feel as a blessing came in was that the children realize that daddy also does everything. So my younger one, my son who's the younger one, has seen that he also has to work, he cannot sit. So when he, and on top of that, there was no help. So now when water falls on the floor, Rudransh will say, "Main gir jaunga." He'll simply get the mop and he'll put it there, because he knows if he doesn't mop it, he will fall down. So neutrality happened and self-reliance happened, which we badly wanted to bring in, but we couldn't. And they also saw that we can have some amazing family time, which I was trying my best to pitch in, but it couldn't happen because of his work schedules. So now board games time is with daddy, song and music time is with daddy, art and craft is with me. So I feel very happy that the activities and everything has become so neutral between us. The children are, even if, like, I don't need to tell them what is gender neutrality, it has come in and they're learning that. Apart from that, I was a feeding mother. 12 months, I was fully into feeding. I was overweight, and gyms had shut down, everything was shut down, and I didn't know what to do. So, and I was overweight at that point, and my husband was working out. So he gave me that idea, you can look up for you can look up into YouTube for ideas. And I really found out that fitness can also happen at home. With, of course, we need guidance, of course you need to go slow, but I learned that fitness can happen at home. So even today I'm doing YouTube workouts only, but I'm happy that I have brought fitness in my routine, which I couldn't do it earlier because I used to tell myself, मैं तो जिम नहीं जा सकती तो मैं fit कैसे होंगी. But I started doing it at home and I feel happy, at least I'm on the fitness path. So 2 3 things which turned out very happily in the pandemic, we are very happy that it came in place with the kids.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think, honestly, Shivani, one needs to look out for these opportunities and learn from it, because it doesn't happen by default. That's something that I always feel, because people do believe, and there are a lot of books which actually quote saying that challenges do make us stronger. But does that happen by default? The answer is no, because challenges
Ah,
can create breakthroughs, but it can also create breakdowns. And as you
yes,
rightly said, it's extremely important to find a possibility during that challenging phase also. And as you said, gender neutral parenting is the word that you is the term that you use, and that's
yes,
quite interesting, of course. And of course, yes. Um, the father is also cooking, mopping the floor. Especially this is important for a homemaker, because if it's a working mother, maybe at times the story is a little different. But if the mother is a homemaker also, you're right, children probably can land up creating a perception that mother is the one
yes,
who kind of cleans
yes.
little and cooks food and all. So I think pandemic has brought that in. But yes, it is also important that when the father cleans the floor, he doesn't crib about it, because then
He
that is
doesn't,
also,
he does.
and that also is an association that can be built. So I think yes, it's brought in a beautiful opportunity in all families, and I'm sure this is something that will continue, and the learning must continue, of course. And another
I would just
important
like
point.
to add in, I'm just sorry to interrupt. I'd like to add in a funny incident which happened during the pandemic with us. So those were the very initial days of the total lockdown, where there were no vegetables available. And my kids are, both of them are pea lovers. They love peas.
Okay.
So my husband knew they love peas. So every time he used to go out, he used to search for peas and get it for them. So now it has become synonymous in our house. Peace khatam hai, Papa laenge. Because they knew that Papa will somehow bring peace for them. So I feel very happy about that. I feel very happy that, okay, my kids feel that Papa can also fend for vegetables for them, which of course wouldn't have happened earlier. It's a very small thing, but my kids feel happy कि अगर मटर नहीं है पापा लाएंगे.
Interesting. And if you talk about English, my father is my peace provider is an interesting statement, I guess. Yeah. And that'll be nice. Yeah, that's nice. A lot of associations gets built during these times, and
Yes.
that's extremely important. And another thing that you mentioned, I think, is extremely important over here is your desire to get back into fitness and finding a way out, because amidst the entire chaotic environment, chaotic situations during lockdown, it's very easy to say that I'm too occupied and busy, I don't have time for fitness. But I think when we talk about body, mind, emotions, the three parts to our life, the body is the most tangible one in one way or the other. And I always tell people, uh, by 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 indulging into exercise, you're actually respecting your own body. And
Yes.
if you respect your body will respect you by reciprocating in the form
Yes.
of a flexible body, in the form of high energy. When you get up in the morning, the mornings will feel fresh, and one leads to the other in a positive way.
Yes.
So undoubtedly, my message to all of them, mothers, fathers, is do not compromise on when it comes to fitness. Of course, we all have our own genetic component. We have our past component. I don't know what state of health or body we are in right now, but compromising on fitness is a strict no, no. Find a way in whatever way you can. You must exercise, because
If I
if you
talk of,
don't,
sorry, no, sorry.
yeah,
No, sorry, you can go.
because I feel if you say there is no time today, tomorrow you will be forced to find time to exercise, and
Yes.
that will be more of damage
Yes.
control. So one should not wait for that phase. So I think inspiration would be better than desperation. And was your Shivani, was your reason for getting into fitness, was it, did the start did it start with inspiration or desperation? Because you did mention that I was overweight, so was that an
Both.
alarm, or
It was both.
it was a combination of both? Okay, okay.
Because I had work and I knew that somehow I need to get fit because this is not happening. This is not me. And I wanted to be me again. Every mother wants to look like what she was earlier. And I was looking bad. And I thought, at least let me feel happy when I look at myself in the mirror. Also, just digressing and adding to a point, body shaming is something which we don't realize. We just, it comes and we just pass it on to our children. So I didn't want my children to think मैं मोटी हूँ, मैं पतली हूँ, मैं ऐसी हूँ. I just wanted to bring fitness as an understanding that you need to be fit, you need to stay fit. Because I have taught my daughter since she is growing up, she has questions about her body, she has questions about skin color, she has questions about looks. So I wanted her to know and understand also that her mother is happy in her own skin, because she will be what I am. So if she looks and she hears that I'm not feeling happy about myself, she will not feel happy about herself. So when she looks in the mirror, we make it a point to tell her she is beautiful. So, it is just that it comes along that I wanted to also look good for my daughter. Now my daughter tells me, Mama, don't wear kurti, please wear jeans. She's all of 6 years. But I feel happy that I'm bringing about that mindset that you need to be fit, you need to be happy in the mirror, because that's what she will learn.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, yes, it's not about fat shaming is always wrong. And we are not talking about whether you're fat or whether you're thin, because a lot of people who gain excessive fat or who start experiencing obesity, it is not necessary that they have wrong habits. A lot of them have health issues, which is
Yeah.
not directly in their control,
Yeah.
because of which, their body doesn't respond the way they really desire. But at the same time, one needs to be comfortable, and one needs to keep moving, keep focusing towards fitness. Because
Yes.
I always feel if there is a possibility of enhancing and improvising your own physical state, you must move towards it.
Yes.
Growth can happen probably at a slow pace, it can happen at an accelerated pace. Some of their metabolism seems as if they are gifted, and some of their metabolism seems as if it just doesn't want to listen to them. But at the
That's
end
with me.
so at the end of the day, I think one needs to just be passionate about fitness. We're not
Yes.
talking about obsession over here. We are talking about passion, and you must continue exercising till your last breath. And
Yeah.
we don't know when that will come, of course. But I think fitness should become like brushing your teeth and taking a bath. It should become like having food. It should become a part of your daily routine. And once you start doing that, there is no guarantee, but there is a possibility that your children also will start valuing fitness in one way or the other, because they see their parents valuing fitness. And how you talk about fitness is also important, because a lot of times when people take break days, their expressions are, wow, aaj mujhe exercise nahi karna hai. Now that's actually highlighting that, exercise is pain and a break day is better. Like when people go on diet, they have cheat days and they seem to be more happy on cheat days. I think it's extremely important that we express the right emotion even when we are on disciplined diet and when we are on the regime of exercising. So I think
Yes, yes.
that's an extremely valuable point over here. And anything else about parenting that you would like to talk about, especially during the current times? I'm sure there are a lot of things, because uh, Shivani is now a blogger and she is also a coach for parents. She's just begun with this journey, and I'm sure she's going to add value to a lot of people out there. Any other important point that you think needs to be covered? Because I remember you talking about gentle parenting, and I thought
Yeah.
that's a different word. Uh, and I'm sure people have heard about this in various forms. And can you throw some light on what exactly is your interpretation or perception about gentle parenting, and how easy or difficult it is for people to practice that?
See, gentle parenting is my passion nowadays. I just love reading on it because it is such a wonderful concept. It'll take me like another 2 sessions to, even put across what it says, but it works so amazingly well. It is a concept very simply in one line. It moves from the age-old authoritarian principle of you must, you must, you should, you should. It moves towards a more uh, empathetic, compassionate, and a loving approach towards the children. It means giving a chance to them, hearing them more, letting them do more, giving them the freedom. In the least, what will happen? There will be a mess, there will be a showdown. But we will end up making better individuals. I mean, for me, my aim is to leave at least two good humans, because the world needs better people. So my aim in the least is to make good humans who will make the world a better place. For that, I need to raise good children, because broken adults cannot be repaired. They have bad issues, they have bad memory issues, they have childhood issues, which, and there are a lot of people who need you then because they have a lot of issues.
Yeah,
So
and that
so
lot of
for that I've, sorry.
in fact, this might be an appropriate point to mention over here, Shivani. Uh, 95% of therapies that I have done till date for adults, the root cause has always been something from the childhood.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 95%, and I'm not exaggerating over here. So while what's happened in the past has already happened, and you must work on it, and you can heal yourself undoubtedly. And if you
Yes.
don't find yourself or not in a position to do that, you can always take the support, the guidance from a coach, from an expert, from a
Yes.
therapist, and you can work it around. But for parents who have little ones at home, a lot of things that a lot of things that you can do at this point of time, which does not leave a wound or a scar, and that's extremely important. And that's actually what Shivani is also highlighting. So I think gentle parenting definitely will ensure. Of course, if we all understand metaphysically or spiritually, the child comes with his or her own karma. No matter what you do, there are certain events that will happen in the child's life, and I don't think we can jump into the depth of that topic in a short session. But I think, yes, if parents practice gentle parenting, it will definitely create, in true sense, empowerment for children. As Shivani rightly said, you will be, in one way or the other, you will be a catalyst for producing better human beings. And
Can I just quote an example of, at times, like a very small example how it works? So, like, gentle parenting will deal with food tantrums, temper tantrums, not being heard, hitting, and it will include potty training, and it will include body awareness. It will have all topics covered, which I, as a parent, never knew that it can be done. Like it's a very small example. When a child falls, right from childhood, as soon as the child falls, they cry, and we show them stars and cars and whatnot, and we tell them, "Dekh, theek ho gaya." So if I explain it synonymously. We are teaching them to look away from their problems, divert away from the problem, from the real problem. What are we setting an example? जो हुआ है वो भूल जाओ, इधर उधर देख. But we can't do that. So when I just followed what they prescribe in gentle parenting, when the child falls, you ask the child and you say, I know it hurts. What happened? Where did you get hurt? Which part of your body is paining? I started this when my child was 13 months, the younger one. Of course, he couldn't speak then what part is paining. But today he's 21 months. When he falls down, he tells me, it got hurt. I got hurt on my knee and it's paining badly. He cries and I tell him, I'll help you make it better. Trust me, amazingly, he becomes okay in 1 or 2 minutes and he starts telling himself, okay, 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 I'm okay. And he becomes okay. So as an example, we are teaching them to face the real problem, listen to it, and heal yourself. So as parent, my job is to empower them and treat them how to tackle the problems later on. A bruise is nothing, but he will at least be empowered to handle his problems later on in life. And so there are many such examples which work so amazingly well in gentle parenting. They're just too good. And they shock you that they work so well. But it's just that it is slow. You need a lot of persistence because they fail miserably at times.
I was about to come to that because I think being persistent and demonstrating a lot of patience, I think is extremely important here. But you also made an extremely strong statement, and I think it's a beautiful lesson for a lot of people. And because this contradicts a lot of typical behaviors. When a child falls and gets hurt, the easiest way, or probably the most popularly used way, is to distract the kid from the pain because that seems to be an easier way of quietening the kid in one way or the other.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but the way you explained, when you ask the child to look at the problem and when you look at how holistically this can really work, and when you made that statement that this is all about facing your problems and not just trying to ignore it and try to look here and there, because some problems won't go away till the time we face it and
Yes.
address it and
Yes.
work on it. So I think that's an extremely powerful point. And as Shivani rightly said, it can be inculcated at that age itself. And yes, it's not painful. What she's saying is you might fail multiple times, but with patience and hope, definitely it starts yielding much more better results. So that's extremely important. Beautiful. I think, Shivani, this is also a topic where we can continuously go on, and a lot of things
Yes.
discussed. But I think this format has a limitation in terms of time. And I hope whatever we've discussed has added some value to our viewers. And so the last question for you is, any final message for our viewers who've taken a little bit of time, they've invested time in watching this session, and any final message or any final comments for all of them?
See, I can only speak of me as a parent because we all go through our personal ups and downs. We all have our problems. I just feel as a parent, we need to be very persistent. There are when we have bad times, but we just need to feel that the child needs us more than anything else in the world. Our problems are ours. We are trying to make better humans. So if we just focus on doing the best for them, which we always do, so it'll work out fine. We just and adding to that firmly, no mother is perfect. It is all right to get angry. It is all right to get frustrated. But the point is persistence. Out of 10 times, 2 times we can get frustrated, but 8 times have to be an effort to make the child better. With that, I would like to add both the parents should at least be aligned on a common platform, which is an idealistic view again. But since both the set of parents come from different backgrounds, they have different ideologies. But when we bring about a child, we should at least talk and discuss and come on a common platform where the child at least feels that, I'm being brought about on a common way. I think that's extremely important to do it. And with that, we need to just understand raising good humans is one big thing which should happen. There are ups and downs, but making a happy, self-respected individual is very, very important. For that, we need to give them love, gratitude, some more listening, some more of love, and some more of kindness because they are small. They don't know what they're doing. They're just experimenting. For us, it's a problem. For them, it's an experiment. So we need to let them think.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I think that was definitely a valid point. And even single mothers, also have some information from the entire session. And of course, if there's a mother and a father, as you rightly said, at least the attempt should be made towards coming towards one common way of looking at parenting as a style. Because uh, I'm sure when we come into any kind of relationship, we both the parties probably come with something called as my way, and we will have to drop that my way and eventually create an our way. And I strongly feel, and I'm sure Shivani you would agree with this, even when we talk about parenting is more about the parents and less about the kid, because
Yes.
it is a reflection of how we behave. So eventually when we start implementing some of these points and many more of these points, we are not just focusing on raising wonderful children, we are also directly or indirectly becoming wonderful human beings.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
as you rightly said, gentle parenting is all about the parent becoming gentle first, and
Yes.
the
Yes.
parent becoming more aware first.
Yes.
So the result, of course, will come on the kid, but eventually we are talking about self change. And even if we focus on parenting or any other relationship, if I focus on building my relationship with my boss or spouse, eventually it will make us a wonderful human being. So uh, with this in mind, Shivani, we're going to close today's session. Thank you very much for your valuable time, and I wish you all the best. And I definitely believe that your handle eventually, I'm sure you'll have a channel, and they all will grow. And I wish you the best so that you empower a lot of women, you empower a lot of mothers, and you empower a lot of people on your journey. And I'm sure motherhood, fatherhood is a challenging role, but at the same time, when we are on the journey of continuous improvement, it's also an extremely rewarding role. Because at the end, when we see our children prosper, the emotional gift that we get out of it is unmatched. And that's extremely important. Shivani's channel, I'm sure you handle, not channel, handle, I'm sure you all remember the name. It's Diapers to Wings. You can follow her and you can post your questions. If you have any questions for me, you can post it here on the page. Of course, this is happening on Zoom and we are telecasting it on the page, and that's how it is. But we will read your messages and your comments for sure. So once
Thank
again,
you for calling me.
Shivani, thank you very much for joining in. And for all of you out there, if you also have a story, if you want to share something, you want to contribute something, you want to add value to people's life, you can connect with me, and we can get into another episode of Candid Conversations, and we can talk, we can converse, we can add value into the lives of other people. So once again, thank you for joining in. Shivani, thank you very much. And a lot of you, take care of yourself. Have a good night. Have a beautiful life. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
for
much.
calling me. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care of yourself. Signing off now. Take care, people. Bye bye.